Yo, do we plan on recording anytime soon?
I can see if I can fit you in my schedule.
You're a horrible co-host. All right, welcome to ZZ Talks review of, no, not WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episode 1. I learned that there's only 6 episodes, which is it's a bit of a bummer, but
are they gonna be an hour long though, like this one was?
Yeah, I think they're all gonna be this length. So
before we go deep into the Zino, am I really a horrible co-host?
No. Zeus is a great co-host. He's one of my top 1 co-hosts because he's the only one I have. No, that was in reference to a line from the show where Bucky calls the psychiatrist a horrible psychiatrist. So we're just trying to tie that in.
Which is probably the funniest scene in the show, which we'll probably touch on.
Yes. So what we're gonna do, if you've seen our WandaVision reviews, you know that we usually like recap and then like talk about it as we recap. It's gonna be a little different. We're actually gonna pick bullet points that we want to talk about and like you know
a recap on a 1-hour show will probably, because I guess I'm assuming this is gonna be a 1-hour show, like
yeah.
26?
I think consistently, yeah. But so we're gonna try and have it a little bit more condensed. But before we get into that, just initial reactions. Zeus, tell me what you thought about the show.
Well, my first initial reaction is based on that hour thing. When I saw the 50 minutes, I was like, you've actually just clarified, because I was like, is it just the first episode? Kind of how, you know, how they released WandaVision 1 and 2 on the same day, just to kind of, let people.
What you mean.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But if you're saying it's only 6 episodes, I don't see them being 30 minutes long. They might be 45, 40 minutes long, but I don't see 30 minutes, 20-minute episodes.
Understand too that the reason why WandaVision was at 30-minute mark, and we're saying 30 minutes, but that also includes credits. The reason why it was that mark is because of the sitcom format. Yeah. So I think here they're gonna go traditional, and I honestly think it's gonna be the same case with all the other shows going forward, like Loki and all that stuff. So yeah, I think it's gonna be an hour.
Okay. So based off of what you just said, actually, or at least that kind of gets me to my first initial reaction, which was the sitcom situation, right? The difference, you instantly, if you're not, I mean, there's going to be some people who did not watch WandaVision who are going to jump straight into Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But if there's people like us who are just probably too invested in the MCU, instantly I noticed the difference between WandaVision and Winter Soldier. This is a movie. This is a movie going to be broken down into 6 parts.
That is so good. That's such a good way of putting it, because when I watched it, that's what I thought too. I was like, this feels like a Marvel movie, but like in episodic format, which really that's what the MCU is anyway. But it was like, this feels like a Marvel movie, even from the aspect ratio to the
production
level of VFX that was going in that opening scene, which we'll jump into. So yeah, my initial reaction is just like yours. Like, it feels like a movie. I know a lot of people were saying that, oh, it's a better start than WandaVision. I happen to really like those first 2 episodes of WandaVision, but I know that wasn't for everyone.
It's comparing apples to oranges, Scott. Honestly.
Exactly.
It really is, because it's different approaches. There's different approaches to every single part of MCU. Honestly, right, all the trilogies are different. All the Avengers are different from the standalones and all that.
That's
stuff,
what keeps us coming back, right? Like Guardians of the Galaxy is like a straight up comedy, whereas
some people just find reasons to dislike WandaVision for some reason, or other shows, because I don't know. There's always seems to be people who think, oh, everyone really likes the show, let me shit on it. Right,
what I mean? Right. Like they want to be contrarian. But all right, so let's get into it. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is, all right, so it opens with Sam, being in this like Middle Eastern thing, and we find out throughout the course of the episode that Sam does government contracts, right? Mm-hmm. And he was sent in to go save some captain. You don't need to know his name, it's just a guy. But it did bring back George St. Pierre as Batroc the Leaper. Anyone who's watched Captain America, the Winter Soldier will remember him from that opening scene on the boat where Cap is like, whooping butt. I thought that was a nice way to bring him back. What did you think of that opening scene? I mean, you've kind of touched on it already. What were your thoughts in the opening scene? It's like,
Well, I will say one, I love the callback to Captain America and the Winter Soldier, because remember, that's when Sam and Bucky both came back.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Sam was
that's
and
Sam's
Bucky
introduction and Bucky's introduction as the Winter Soldier. So
exactly. So now it's Captain America and the Winter Soldier. He was in Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Now we're talking about Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
So it's one thing.
Well, Falcon is supposed to be Captain America because that's who Steve gave a shield to.
So I love that callback. I've always thought I hope that these shows and these the continuation of the MCU allows them to bring back certain villains that really weren't get to fleshed out. Because honestly, what's the name of the character again?
Batroc the Leaper. I only even know about him from like one of the animated Avengers shows. He was very goofy looking in there. But
yeah, so I'm loving that they brought him back because I felt like there's a lot of fleshing out that they could do for his plus Jerry St. Pierre looking as a villain, knowing who he really is in real life. You're like him as a villain is just really fun.
I think his acting has improved from the first movie, and honestly, he doesn't have to do a lot of acting. He just has to like beat people up. But I do think he's improved a bit.
Yeah. I really did like that part. I love the fight. I love the instantly they kind of go into a little bit of formula because the what was his name? Was it Cruz? I just know him from
Torres.
Where Torres is automatic. All right, we got the funny, goofy, kind of goofy, like excited sidekick. But I'm like, it was cool because throughout the course of the episode, you see, okay, he's not going to be just a standard goofy one. He has reason.
Yeah, and you know what? This isn't something I have written down, but I do. The Torres thing reminded me of the fact that at large, the Avengers are known. Everyone's like, oh, Avenger, like they look at something like Avenger. Even at the bank that we'll talk about later, oh, Avenger. So it's a funny thing, right? Like these, and I don't know if we've touched on it before. Yeah, we did when we talked about Iron Man, which we haven't released yet. But the fact that the MCU is different from other like hero franchises in the sense that everyone knows who everyone is. There aren't any masks really, except for Spider-Man. And so they'll see you on the street, or like in Endgame where they're taking pictures of the Hulk. It's like these guys are like celebrities in their own rights, and
then they touch on it during the course of the episode. It's like they're celebrities, but they don't get money from being who they are.
Right. Okay, sorry, we just got blipped for a second. So all right, so yeah, there you go. All right, so next thing, and we're gonna stick with Sam, and then we're gonna go into Bucky. So don't worry, we're not forget about Winter Soldier. So so Sam goes back to DC, and we're shown that just like at the end of Endgame, Sam doesn't quite feel worthy of having the shields. What are your thoughts on that?
I get it. I get it, because also you got to remember, even though Rogers didn't die, Steve Rogers being Captain America, he lost his friend. Yeah. He lost because I think Captain America to Sam was a couple of things. He was his best friend, but 2, he was also his mentor, and 3, he was also a hero to him. Like you could see that he really did care for him.
Yeah. I think it's a testament to the way, and I don't want to veer too far off the show. I think it's a testament to the way Chris Evans played the character too. Like, it was believable as like this sort of icon type of character.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was a friend, but it wasn't just a friend to Sam, but it was an icon to the nation. And Sam
and he's like, I can't fill those shoes, bro.
Maybe has some imposter syndrome thing going on where it's like, oh, I don't.
Yeah.
Me, Captain America, I don't know about that. And where they introduced Don Cheadle, which I had written down as a cameo, but you said that from what you've seen, he's going to be in the
maybe
show.
We gotta I'll look into that.
Okay.
I was under the impression that he's supposed to have his own MCU show too.
I haven't heard about that, but he could be in this for longer than just that one episode. I thought it was just.
The thing about Don Cheadle, and I remembered this because I was a big fan of him on House of Lies, is Don Cheadle is one of those rare actors who he could be a sidekick in a movie, he could be the lead in a movie, because Hotel Rwanda. He can also be a lead in a show. He can be a guest in a show. So Don Cheadle kind of has that one thing, which honestly, I'm going to say real quickly, this show made me realize is that, okay, what's Sam's character actor's name? I forgot it real fast.
Anthony Mackie.
Anthony Mackie, I've always felt that Anthony Mackie doesn't have the lead role kind of.
Yeah, I mean, he was lead in season 2 of Altered Carbon.
Yeah.
But I didn't particularly like that season
shows
anyway.
I could see him as a lead in.
Yeah.
But movies, because I think he did the Banker was one of the ones that he lead, but I don't know
remember.
if exactly.
Yeah,
You don't even
don't
even remember. But one thing that that Don Cheadle kind of helped me see just from looking at, I guess, him standing next to each other, it's Anthony Mackie doesn't seem out of place leading the show, because obviously he started it off, right? He started off the show, so he's one of the 2 leads. So it made me see that, 1, he's a great lead in an acting role for a show, but 2, because of the production value of the show, it felt like a movie, and it just didn't seem like he was out of place.
Right. So you think Don Cheadle added gravitas?
Yeah.
To the cool. I like the little Don Cheadle thing, and it made sense, right? Because Don Cheadle is in the military brass, and this was sort of like a military ceremony, because what was happening is that Sam was giving the shield to the Smithsonian, right? Because he didn't feel like he should have it. And we'll touch on something that happened later in the episode, which is like what the heck? But so he gave it to the Smithsonian, and so then he and Don Cheadle were talking about. He and Rhodey were talking about it, and Rhodey like asking like, well, why don't you take up the mantle, that sort of thing. But so small cameo.
When he was talking about giving up the shield, right? He did a little speech about Steve. Did you get the sense that Rhodey was thinking about Tony?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely when they kept going back and forth between them,
and
like the camera panning, I was thinking, Cap and Tony, both. Endgame was the swan song for both of them, and these are their sidekicks, if you will, or their best friends. Not to minimize their roles. So yeah, I definitely got that sense. All right, and last thing I want to talk about on Sam, because there is a bigger thing going on in the series that I feel like they will be exploring, which is like that attack that Torres happened to record. And I didn't have that written down, but I guess we can touch on that and where do we see the show going. But the last thing I want to touch on with Sam specifically is how his credit worthiness was hurt by being in the blip, because so Sam has a sister, right, and she has 2 kids, and I don't know if they quite said that their parents died during the blip or they just died at some point. But
or her husband, because she's also a widow. So
her husband's dead for sure. Yeah, but I'm speaking about the parents specifically because the family owned a shipping boat. Shipping boat, a fishing boat. So they owned a fishing boat, and it seemed like that was the way that they made a lot of money. But it's become unsustainable, and the sister wants to sell it, and she wants to sell the house that's owned by both of them. And basically, she was talking about how she'd been keeping it up in those 5 years when he was blipped. And so Sam, ever the hero, was like, look, we'll go to the bank. Let's get you this bank loan. And, the banker is like going through it. Is like, we don't see how you've made money for the last 5 years. And the sister's like, how do you make money when you don't exist? Right. Yeah. So, I mean, this is another way that the blip has affected people. Bankers talking about how everyone's coming for small business loans because, they've all been blipped back. That sort of thing.
Yeah. But also, if you think about, she kind of touches on it prior to the sister, when she talks about how the business has gone bad, right? That is also probably something that happened with the blip. Because remember when the blip was during Endgame, the sports weren't being played anymore. Yeah. There were still boats just locked up in the shipyard, looking like they didn't get moved or nothing at all. So it's the financial part probably is something that this shows can kind of go a little bit into,
Yeah, which I mean, this one seems like it is going to go into more. There was my feeling from Endgame in those minutes after like the whole 5 years later thing, was that there was like a worldwide depression to where it wasn't just depression on like a personal level, like, oh, I'm depressed, but like it just halted everything, right? Like people just there wasn't this urge to move forward. But also the fact that the people in the world probably needs is half the customers to to make money from and all that stuff.
Half the producers, half the everything,
Right. So anyway, so Sam goes to the bank with his sister, thinking he can swing around his celebrity status,
I thought you were going to say something else.
No, and help her get the loan. The guy was like, "Oh shoot, you're the Falcon," and then he's like asking him all these questions and all that stuff. Still can't give him the loan, right? And they touched on something funny there, where it's like, "How do you guys make money? Does like Stark pay you?" Or my condolences, and but yeah, you don't really think about that. How do these guys make money when they're not staying at the Avengers Tower and stuff like that? So that was an interesting scene, and yeah, it's those side stories that you never really think of when you're watching all.
They don't have a time to go into them.
Yeah, you watch all the explosions, the big battles, which we all love. But these are like those human stories that you actually get to feed into, and it's such a timely show too, considering how many people are struggling because of the pandemic.
Yeah,
it's not quite blip level, but it is. There's mass death, but also mass job loss, and how is that affecting people? And this is like weirdly correlating with what we're seeing.
It really is. I didn't think about that until you said that right now, but actually that's pretty crazy if you think about it. Yeah. Because even now when you walk around, right, you can notice that there's less people out than normal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It doesn't feel, I mean, and it's getting a little better, but it just doesn't feel quite like
they were.
Well, no. I mean, as far as like, I mean, compared to like 3 months ago, like seeing people walking around, it's getting a little better, but it still doesn't quite feel like what we were used to pre-COVID, right? So, but hopefully we do get back to normal.
But I don't want to skip the Torres scene. So
we'll talk about it in the end, because we do want to talk about where the show is heading, and we'll talk about that, because I mean that's going to be a big part of it. Okay, so that's it on Sam. I think Sam's character is going to be fleshed out really well in the show, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about Bucky, the Winter Soldier in the title. Actually, I do have something to say that it was a minor thing, but it kind of bugged me. In the credits, they showed Sebastian Stan first, then Anthony Mackie. Why? Mackie comes before Stan in the alphabet. Anthony comes before Sebastian in the alphabet. Falcon comes before Winter Soldier in the title of the show. Falcon was the first person they showed in the show. Why did Sebastian Stan get top billing?
And Anthony Mackie is a bigger star than Sebastian Stan. Tell you the truth.
Why did he get top billing? I don't get it. So anyway, he's not getting top billing on our show.
Maybe they're gonna be switched around. Maybe next week it'll be Anthony Mackie first.
I hope so, because that kind of annoyed me. But he's not getting top billing here. We're talking about him second.
Hey, look, Sam isn't getting financial what's it called, loans. We know why, because they touch on that, right?
A little bit. I mean, it could have something to do with skin color. But all right. So Bucky, the very first scene we see of Bucky is in Russia, and he's got the long hair and he's like popping people, and I was a little confused. I was like, is he? I mean, I know he's not the Winter Soldier anymore.
Yeah.
Is he like on mission for like Shield or something?
I think they did a great job with that too.
Yeah,
because at first you're thinking, all right, maybe he's acting like the Winter Soldier, but it's really for the government, or on the good side, and he's popping like people who are bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they made a great point of showing that the people that he's popping look like Russian thugs or whatever. Those the ones you see in like James Bond movies, those kind of henchmen. And then he goes to this innocent bystander who's trying to put the key in, and I swear to God, I thought he was going to like help him open the door.
That's
or something.
Exactly what I thought. I was like, he's gonna be like, grab the key, put it in for him, and let him in.
And nope, raised the gun and shot the dude, and it was Bucky having a nightmare. And man, I love where they took it in the episode, right? Because I mean, the next thing is the scene with the therapist, which we referenced in our intro, where the therapist is asking him if he's been having nightmares, and obviously he says no, right? He doesn't own up to it. But apparently he and his psychiatrist have this 3-step program of making amends, and they show how he does it with one of the people, which was a senator that Hydra had placed in high positions, and she's like using her power for nefarious purposes. So like part of his amends was exposing her.
The one thing I really enjoyed about that was the layers in that, because he also said she was originally a pawn.
Mm-hmm.
She was used as a pawn, so i.e. she was probably a victim of Hydra, but she eventually, once that Hydra was gone, once that threat was gone, she's like, I still have all this power, so I'm going to use it. So that was pretty. That was a pretty interesting layer that I thought.
I don't know if pawn necessarily suggests victim, but it certainly suggests not having as much. Yeah, dispensable, but not having as much autonomy as like a Baron von Strucker or the I forget the guy, Red Skull. But then she's definitely grown in the ranks, even like outside of Hydra. She's like, oh, I got here, I can still like, be a bad person. And I love like when he stopped there, he was like, I'm no longer the Winter Soldier. My name is Bucky Barnes, and I'm making amends. Yada yada. It was.
Don't forget to smile.
Yeah. It was funny, but you could still see the trauma in his eyes. Even even through the smile, you can like, this is someone who's struggling to look like a normal person with like that smile, right? That was it's man, like, so like I think Sebastian Stan is low-key a pretty good actor, and we haven't really gotten a chance to see it till now. And so then they show him befriending this like older Asian man, and this older Asian man is trying to set him up for this younger Asian girl. But we do see where the man for a second just starts thinking about his son, and when he starts talking about his son, immediately, and I'm sure you did too, Neo's like, that's the dude Bucky killed. Like, actually,
I'm not gonna lie, I really didn't make that connection right away. I wouldn't pay attention to it. I thought, okay, he killed. I was like, oh, he must have killed the son. But I didn't. For some reason, I just completely forgot that it was the kid in the beginning. Scene. Yeah, but I was like, he either killed his son or he just feels guilty anytime people talks about people getting killed.
No, as soon as he said that, I was like, damn. I was like, that is rough. So I mean, obviously he's trying to have the date with the girl, but he has all these demons. He can't even answer why his arm is bionic, because the answer is, oh, I'm the Winter Soldier. And I think, even though he has a government pardon, I'm pretty sure everyone knows the Winter Soldier was a terrorist. Like, everyone knows that the helicarrier crash in DC was because of the Winter Soldier and Hydra. He can't. And this is the juxtaposition with Sam. Sam is out there. Everyone's like, oh, Falcon, oh, Avenger. Like, he can lean into that celebrity. Bucky can't. Bucky can't be like, oh yeah, I'm Winter Soldier. And it was good. It was really good. I'm sorry, you were gonna say something?
Well, no, I was actually gonna real quickly call back also to the Captain America and the Winter Soldier, was when you see him wake up, he's on the floor. And remember what Sam, the first thing Sam told Steve was, he was like, you can't sleep. It's like sinking into a marshmallow, or sinking into a cloud, when you're talking about the bed. So it's just one of those interesting things that they touch on, because that's also something that a lot of because obviously the issues with the storylines between, for Sam, Steve, and Bucky is, they're also soldiers, ex-soldiers, trying to assimilate back into life. So they do touch on the issues that soldiers deal with when they try to assimilate back into life. This is like common stuff that actual soldiers have to deal with. Yeah. I've talked to some of my ex-military friends who say they have to get the firmest bed they can find, because they just can't sleep on softness. Like, it's just because sleeping on the dirt, for so long. So that was just one real cool thing that one really like cool callback that I enjoyed.
I didn't even notice that. That's a good catch.
Yeah, it really was. And then I really enjoyed his scene with the psychiatrist. or psychologist. One, I like the actress. The actress is
We'll go with therapist.
Okay. Yeah. I love the actress. The actress is she's amazing in Bosch. So I'm a huge fan of hers.
Amazon Prime.
She but their scene was just because he was funny. Obviously, you know, the callback that we did at the beginning of the episode. You know, he talks about that. What did he? I forgot. She said something. I think it was the same part where he was like, "You're a horrible."
Yeah, there were a lot of there was a lot of good banter between them.
I'm hoping to see more of that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. I hope that they have more sessions like in the show. Okay, so the date goes awry, of course, because he just can't he can't be Bucky without being Winter Soldier. He can't disassociate the two. So anyway, he goes to the old man in what seems like he's gonna go like say, yeah, I killed your son, and he doesn't. I almost wonder if he should, like by the end of the show. I wonder if he should or he should, because even the girl touches on it, like the thing that hurts the man the most is not knowing,
and that's why he's gonna tell him.
Yeah.
He's just afraid because also he's gained a friendship with him. He already knows that once he tells him, this guy's not gonna forgive him.
Yeah,
that's what he's feeling. But also, I feel like Bucky doesn't feel like he deserves forgiveness. It seems like he has so much guilt that he just doesn't feel that he. I think what's going on is he's at that survivor guilt, the remorse that he committed so much harm that he just doesn't feel he's worthy of redemption.
Yeah,
that's what
I mean, even in Civil War, when as he was finding out in real time that he killed Tony's parents.
Yeah,
you know, like you could tell that he was like, oh my, like I'm a terrible person. But I mean, what he was under control, right? I'm not absolving him, but I mean that's the reality of the situation. So it's very complex. It's a great thing to pit these two people in the show together. They couldn't be more different and more the same, at the same time, right? So all right, so I want to get into a couple of future looking things, but before that, let's talk about the Torres scene in Europe, because Torres had told Falcon that he was tracking this group called the Flag Smashers, and basically they found that during the blip, there was less concern about borders and nations and all that stuff, and they thought things thrived during that time, and they want to get back to that. So Flag Smashers are basically smashing U.S. flag, American flag, whatever, German flag, and all that stuff, and just being like borderless, right? And so the Flag Smashers made their debut or whatever in like it was like a bank heist thing. I think it was Switzerland, but the one guy that like started the bank heist apparently is powered, because this dude
got a big ass kick.
Yeah, he straight up kicked this dude across the road. He bent Torres's hand, I think, or the gun out of his hand, gave him an orbital fracture. They didn't give us too much to go on like who he could be, what that could be. Obviously, that kick is reminiscent of Cap. Cap kicking. Oh, especially in Captain America and the Winter Soldier, that opening scene on the boat where he like kicked that dude off the boat. It's very much like that. So some super soldier serum, something, I don't know.
There's got to be some more of those out there. It just doesn't make sense that they. Well, I mean, they said that was the only one, but whenever they say, "Hey, that was the only serum."
No, they did.
Also remember, what's his name? The guy who started, who was the main. No, the
Red Skull.
No, he was in Civil War.
Baron Zemo.
Zemo, yeah. Zemo went back and shot all of them, but who's to say that was all of them?
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, they did. There was some of them that Zemo shot. Yeah. So yeah, it's possible that there's more. Which, by the way, that was shocking when he did that, because I thought they were setting up for like, these are gonna be your bad guys and they're gonna have to fight them. It's like, nope, it's not gonna be them at all. It's gonna be Tony versus Steve. But yeah, you're right. It could be one of those pod people. Yeah, I'm interested to see where that goes. Um, where how do you think Sam and Bucky are gonna link up? Because they didn't link up in this episode. The therapist did allude to Bucky not returning anyone's calls, including
I
Sam.
think actually the end scene will be the reason why the end scene of this episode be, you know, where the Smiths, you saw it, right?
Yes,
Did you
yes.
see it as soon as he gave it to the Smithsonian guy, where he was like, "You did the right thing."
No, I did not see that coming.
I did.
Which I should have.
All right, because the way he said it, you did the right thing. Because my thing was, I was like, who the hell are you to even say what anybody should do with that shield?
Yeah.
Because that shield was made specifically for Captain America. Captain America gave it to Sam because that was his right to give it to Sam, you know? Yeah. But of course, you know, it's like, well, this is government property. I was like, not really.
Well, I mean, I wasn't thinking that at all. I wasn't. I guess I'm not as much of a cynic when it comes to the government, but I just thought it was. I just thought it was like, you know, this is a symbol. We'll put it in the Smithsonian that everyone can come and look at. I should have picked up on it because in one of the really early trailers, because this show was supposed to come out like a good year earlier, and then obviously COVID happened, production was stuff. But one of the early trailers had this, you know, fake Captain America, and I should have picked up that. Yeah, of course, that's going to be a thing. So,
as soon as the government had that shield, I was like, they're going to try to bring somebody back, and that's going to be one of the issues with the episode. I think. Yeah, so that scene, right? So obviously we touched on the last scene, which is, you know, they announced that we need symbols, and I'm like, do you really though? Because last I checked, there's a crap load of heroes still hanging out around. So what do you mean you need a symbol? Yeah. You know what I mean?
And so he comes down the stairs. Oh, is it stairs? I don't know. He comes out and then he like winks to the camera, and that's how the episode ends. And you know who reminded me of? You've seen Daredevil season 3, right?
Yeah.
He reminded me of Dex. Bullseye. I got Bullseye vibes for some reason.
That makes sense. That makes sense because they tried to lift him up as a hero.
Yes, but
then they found out he was a psycho.
He has issues, like deep issues. I just got like dead behind the eyes type of vibes from this guy.
Do you know the actors? Just a quick fun note. No. It's Kerry Russell and Kurt Russell's son.
Kerry Russell is not right.
Not Kerry Russell. I'm sorry.
Goldie Hawn.
Kate Hudson's mom.
Goldie Hawn.
Goldie Hawn. Oh, Kerry Russell is from Felicity.
Wait a sec. Never mind. Yeah. You know, when you said that, I was thinking of Dennis Quaid's son. I was like, no way, because that's the dude in The Boys, Jack Quaid. Yeah, but no.
A lot of nepotism going on in Hollywood.
Right. I mean, if you can act, you can act. So that's cool. Okay. Kurt Russell's son.
Russell. That's just a little fun fact. But
Kurt Russell was in the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 as Ego.
So to answer your question, when I see them linking up based off of
of this,
yeah, I see them because one, that's gonna be a quick insult to for Bucky, because like, this is my boy. This is, you know, you guys are just, he's the one that brought me back from the edge of, you know, of just self-destruction. So this is my boy. So probably they're gonna reach out. And also remember, and Sam has been reaching out.
Yeah.
Which I found interesting because they don't really care for each other, right? You know, they hate each other.
I mean, they hate each other, but they're always hanging out.
They have that what's it called? The Two Angry Old Men.
Like Lethal Weapon or Odd Couple, yeah.
The Odd Couple.
Yeah. You know what? The Cap shield thing could be it. I'm more leaning towards the whole Flag Smashers thing. I just because it is in Europe, I think there's a better likelihood that it's somehow tied to Winter Soldier's past as Hydra or whatever. I think that could be it, but obviously the new Cap thing will also be an ongoing issue. I'm very interested to see where it goes.
Did you kind of get from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. the Patriot vibe? Remember the Patriot, the one that was, he acted like he was also a
yeah, I know what you're
what's it
talking
called?
about. Yeah.
He thought he was acting like he was inhuman, but really it turns out he was just injecting himself with like some
Yes.
serum.
Yeah, no, I remember what you're talking about. Yes. Okay, yeah, it could be that a little.
So he's gonna. I feel like this fake Captain America is going to be fighting alongside them, and one of the issues is gonna be them making sure that he doesn't get himself killed. Like, because I don't think Sam and Bucky will hate him because he's not a bad guy. He's just a government prop, right?
We don't know.
I mean,
we don't know.
I guess I'm not much of a cynic about government officials.
Yeah. Okay, so let's put a bow on it. What score would you give it? Well, final thoughts, and then give us a score on the
final thoughts.
episode.
I'm gonna do final thoughts, predictions, or what I'd like to see, and then my score. So final thoughts. Great start to the show. Like I said, they made it look like a movie, but they also kind of made sure that people know this is a show. It's going to be a slow burn. It's not as a slow burn as WandaVision, but as we touched on, they're different shows. Yeah. So I felt like, and then one thing I loved about it was it wasn't just action. It's not just boom, things going boom, right?
It gave you that at the beginning to remember, to make you know that, hey, this is MCU.
They brought you in, and then they exposed, like, no, we're going to, they touched on some stuff. They touched on, what's it called? Racism within our financial infrastructures, right? Because they even his sister said it. I was like, when it involves us, they change the rules, So they touched on that, which they haven't done before. I think the only one that I could think of that's done that is probably Luke Cage, that really has kind of gone into that kind of stuff, So they touched on that. So I really enjoyed that. They touched a little bit on the PTSD. This is a different version of PTSD versus what Wanda had, right? They're talking about this is a perpetrator or a person being an ex-military opposed to dealing with, trauma or loss. Yeah. This person is dealing with guilt. So it's kind of like, I really enjoy those parts. So I'm really looking forward to these next episodes. I'm hoping if it's only 6 episodes, that means it's the same length, 50 minutes, 40-minute length episodes. It would be a disservice, I think, if it's only 30 minutes, but we'll still watch it because then again, even if it's only an additional 30 minutes or 5 episodes, that's a 3.5 hour movie, 4.5 hour movie. So I'm still cool with it. But that's my final thoughts. Before I get into what I want to see, what's your final thoughts?
I liked it. Started off with a bang. But yeah, they take the time to like delve into issues that you can't really delve into in the movies. Though I do think that's why Endgame is so widely beloved. Endgame was a longer movie, a 3.5 hour movie, but it never felt like it. But the reason it had to be that long is because they made sure to dedicate a good bit of time to how the blip has affected people, like on a mental level, right? I mean, where Black Widow was at, mentally, just furiously just trying to find a way to bring the people back, even when everyone else had given up, And I think when they can now dedicate TV shows to like really exploring that part, which even just casual viewers of the MCU were like, this is why Endgame is such a good movie. Whether you can now dedicate time to that in the TV shows, I think that's always going to be a good thing, especially when you love these characters, right? I'm very curious to see what happens with the villains, who the villains are going to be, and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm hopeful, and episode 1 gives me a lot to be happy about. So yeah.
So what I would like to see, just quick things that I would love to see throughout either hopefully the next episode or at least the course, more Rhodey. So I'm hoping that he's not just a cameo. I really do enjoy it. I really do enjoy Don Cheadle. And then I really want them to explore more into the human element. I really do. I think they do a great job of exploring certain, I think it's going to be way different than WandaVision in the sense of, how WandaVision was, it was more about her mental part first, then it drove into the action. I feel it's a lot, and then we also talked about that in the last, it's like, okay, now it's all action, it's all wrapping up. Now I feel like the way they're doing it now, hopefully that doesn't lead to them wrapping up all these different storylines into like a 40-minute end of the season. Kind of how we talked about how that's one of the things we hate about certain shows is like they do all this stuff. 9 hours is them figuring out who it is. 9 episodes is them figuring out who it is. The final episode is them wrapping it up, and it's literally like 45 minutes of them fighting.
Yeah, no, I don't think they're gonna do that in the show. I think it's gonna be a good mix of action and story throughout like all the episodes.
What do you want to say?
I have a hard time believing that's what they're just gonna be like story and then final battle. I echo what you say. Basically, just some more good storytelling. We've got some of that in this, and if we don't get more Don Cheadle, I'm neither here nor there about it.
Little guest spots,
Yeah. Okay, yes, I am looking forward to those little like nods to other characters, which we do know there are going to be some showing up, but we won't touch on it here. But just fun MCU stuff, man. Just that thrill ride, which we've gotten from this first episode. Looking forward to more of that. Okay, you want to give a score?
I'm gonna go ahead just because I want to leave room for more stuff. But I won't. If it was just a movie, I wouldn't say it was like the greatest movie. But it's a fun movie. It's a fun, fun popcorn kind of movie. Touches on a good amount of stuff. So I'm gonna give it a good. It's not average. Average being what, 5? Above average being 6. I'm gonna say it's a little bit over that. I'm gonna go ahead and give it just because I want to leave room for improvement, or at least room for like, holy crap, this is the greatest episode I've ever seen in my life. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 7.5.
Okay, that's what I'm gonna give it to. I actually think you said if this was a movie, it wouldn't be the greatest movie. I think this works well as like the first act of a 3-act movie. Even though this would kind of be a 6-act movie if they all keep this length, but obviously that's not how no story works in a 6-act structure. But what I mean is, if there was like 2 more hours of this movie and this was the first hour, I'd be like, yeah, this movie is dope. So yeah, 7.5 as well. And looking forward to more of it. We're good?
All right. I'm good. Listen, if you guys like our stuff, like it. If you like our stuff even more, subscribe. And then also we're now officially a podcast too, man.
Yeah. Well, these our TV show reviews are gonna be YouTube only.
Never mind what I just said.
Yes, but please do look out for our podcast or just watch our other episodes or other clips on YouTube. Like, share, and subscribe. And that's a wrap.